Welcome back to Network Africa. A reminder of our top story, that's President Jacob Zuma's visit to Nigeria. We know that he is currently addressing a joint session of the National Assembly where he first applauded Nigeria's conduct of the 2015 election, and he's also saluting the courage of all those who were involved in making the elections free and fair. The President Jacob Zuma also acknowledged the role played by Nigeria in dismantling apartheid and the massive admission given to South African students in Nigeria during that period. President Zuma also said South Africa is ready to partner with Nigeria to improve steady power supply, and also appealed to Nigeria to join hands to resolve challenges which are currently plaguing the African continent. Now, I understand that Mr. Lucas Malloy is still with us. Mr. Malloy, thank you so much for staying on the line.
Not a problem at all.
Now, my final question was, at the end of it, this is a very significant 48 hours that we're witnessing from today and tomorrow. What are you optimistic that will be the fruit of this visit in the long run?
I'm hopeful, and I think I speak for many South Africans and Nigerians when I say this. I'm very hopeful on business relations and political relations that are a little bit strong between the two countries. Nigeria has got resources in terms of oil, and that South Africa in terms of electricity supply and water, and that we should be leveraging on what each other has got to give. We can be able to benefit from that, and then we can be able to start building an Africa that is strong, not only politically, but economically also, with our resources not being owned by European countries, but by African countries. And that we need to start showing also a united front in the leadership space. So if the presidents themselves, the head of state, are not showing that united front, we will always have these divisions among the citizens of Nigeria when they are in South Africa, and the South Africans when they're in Nigeria, and that. So it is unto our leaders to make that vision clear, to say we are looking at a united Africa. We are not competing. We are countries that should be complementing each other. With the two of us joining forces, coming together, we will be a very strong force to reckon with in Africa and around the world.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lucas Malloy, CEO of Int'l Media. Thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Now, besides President Jacob Zuma, another theme which is trending today is that it's also International Women's Day, and all over the world, everyone who is anyone is actually talking about today being International Women's Day. Even the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, is talking about it. Here's an excerpt of what the UN Secretary General had to say about today. He says, "Let us devote solid funding, courageous advocacy, and unbending political will to achieving gender equality around the world. There is no greater investment in our common future," unquote. International Women's Day is a time to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate acts of courage and determination by ordinary women who've played an extraordinary role in the history of their countries and communities. The 2016 theme for International Women's Day is Planet 50/50 by 2030. Step it up for gender equality. Now, let's take a quick review of some of the countries where it's actually dangerous to be a woman. The top 10 countries. First on the list is Afghanistan, then the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, India, Somalia, Colombia, Egypt, Kenya, Mexico, and Brazil. Well, joining me in studio is Mrs. Morenike Omaiboje. She is the Director of Programs for Women's Consortium of Nigeria. Mrs. Omaiboje, thank you very much for joining us on Network Africa, and happy Women's Day to you.
Thank you. Same to you, Cynthia.
Now, what struck me here is Nigeria is not on this list, which is a very good thing, of top 10 dangerous countries to be a woman. What are we doing right that has ensured that we're not on this list?
Cynthia, I absolutely agree with you that it's a very good sign for Nigeria. Well, we have freedom of expression, we have freedom of speech, We have freedom of what to wear. Women can move about. They can speak where men are standing, where men are seated, you know. They are in governance and everything. So I think Nigeria has achieved considerable civilization in that area, and we are in a place where if the Muslim women want to wear their hijab, they are free. If the non-Muslim wants to, you know, expose certain parts of their bodies, as long as it's decent, we're free. So I think that with that, you know, Nigeria has done well for its women.
Now another thing is one of the issues which actually fuels gender-based violence and the inequality we've seen is when it comes to tradition. So how do we balance, you know, moving with the times and also maintaining tradition, which people love to celebrate, and also ensuring that this 50-50 Planet 50-50 by 2030 is actually a reality?
Well, tradition for me, like we all know, it's a set of beliefs,
yes,
you know, customs, practices that's passed over generations. It doesn't have any legal frameworks. It's not really binding over the generations. Well, it keeps going on, but you see that if you look at modern day, you see that we keep dropping them. We keep dropping some of the traditions. But when we talk about global issues like gender equality, it makes for national development, it makes for political development of a nation, it brings civilization, it brings, so it enhances, you know, the economy of a nation. So you can't really weigh them together. Traditions, over the years, you and I have seen traditions being dropped by us. The way our parents named children in Africa is different from the way we name children now, even in terms of the ceremonies. So traditions are different, but in balancing it and looking for a way to balance it, I think each individuals would need to look at what gender equality means, the importance of it, and the benefits of the nation. So in other words, we run a patriarchal system in Nigeria, and a lot of us believe it's a man's world over here, but we can also look at a lot of our men, lawmakers, the governments are doing so much in wanting to make sure that gender equality is it, because even the United Nations and the entire world is advocating for it. So tradition, some parts of tradition may need to keep going down for gender equality to, you know, come up.
Now, another thing is, you were talking about the lawmakers and efforts being made to ensure that, you know, gender equality is actually made manifest. Yeah. But are the authorities really doing enough? Because we see a lot of cases of, you know, for instance, domestic violence, which is very common but goes unreported. So is there really much being done to empower women in order to come out of situations like this? Because we've had guests on this program before when it comes to domestic violence, and that they've said the reasons that women endure this is because they do not have options. So are authorities doing enough?
Well, Cynthia, I would say they're doing quite a lot.
Okay.
Well, enough. Well, maybe not enough. There's more to be done. When it comes to a nation of over 150 million people, there is always more to be done. In every police station in Nigeria, you have a gender desk. You know, like I said, lawmakers partner. I mean, the government partners a lot with civil society organizations. You know, women issues are being handled. There are agencies that are taking care of some violence against women issues, like women trafficking, which my organization stands for, you know, and government has done tremendous work. And it's interesting to know that in sub-regional Africa, Nigeria is one of the countries that has passed a comprehensive law on trafficking against women and girls. So Nigeria has done tremendously a lot, but maybe there's still more to be done.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Morenike Omaiboje, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa. Happy International Women's Day to you, and thank you for gracing us with your presence on the program. Now, to take a look at what's trending today, you should know, based on what we're looking at on the program, what we've been looking at today is International Women's Day on Twitter. That's the hashtag International Women's Day, hashtag IWD 2016, and without a doubt, hashtag Jacob Zuma. So you can check out what's happening on Twitter looking at those hashtags. But still to come on Network Africa, a self-taught Kenyan artist, that's Clavers Odhiambo, practices an intricate and detailed style of painting known as hyperrealism.